The regular meeting of the Milliken Board of Trustees for September 13th, 2023 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the town clerk please call roll?
Trustee Beckman. She's here. Trustee Dean.
Here.
Trustee Lane.
Here.
Trustee Meisner.
Here.
Trustee Wakeman.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Here.
Mayor Austin.
Here. Thank you. Does anyone have any additions or deletions to the agenda? We do need to move the discussion agenda up to after the citizens' comment. We will be having a presentation from Civica. They're not quite here yet. And then the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization.
They have a letter that we need to discuss.
Okay. All right, so we'll move that up to after citizens' comment. Any other changes?
Mayor, I would just like to add the potential water purchase.
Okay, so,
And just direction from the board. Discussion, I guess, would be fine, or an action item.
okay, depending upon the order that people are here, is we will take care of that.
Bless you.
All right, I'll take a motion.
So move with changes.
Second,
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Dean.
yes.
Trustee Lane.
Yes.
Trustee Meisner.
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman.
Yes.
Trustee Beckman. Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Citizens' comment. Are there any citizens' comments tonight? Nobody wishes to address the board, so we will move on to the discussion agenda. We'll start out with the water purchase.
Thank you, Mayor. As I indicated during the work session, Don Stonebrink, about a week and a half ago, received an email from a person that is representing some people that own property in Larimer County, that the initial letter to us indicated 20 units of CBT, but then they changed that to potential 42 units of CBT available for purchase. And I would like direction from the board in order to follow through with this and see how many units they're willing to share and appropriate the funds in order to do so from the potential 2024 budget to this year.
Okay. Well, and so you're just looking for direction from the board?
Correct, if you want me to pursue this.
I believe the direction from the most board consensus is please pursue it and then bring it back for a vote.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion from board members? Okay. All right, you have in front of you a letter from the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization. It was also emailed to you. Trustee Dean is going to discuss the letter.
Well, I wanted to introduce it. I attended the Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization meeting via Zoom last week, and this item was discussed, and that organization wanted each of the communities to review and weigh in on whether or not they felt like they wanted to endorse this letter. I've asked the mayor and Cheryl to invite Suzette Malat to give a little more description of it. I was listening to it, but it was probably a little beyond me, and so I wanted her to share the reasoning behind it. And I think she's on our Zoom currently.
Hey, all right. Okay, so So I don't know if did you want me to go ahead and talk about the letter, or I don't know exactly where we're
Yes. I kind of gave them an overview of my understanding, but I thought you could give them a better detail of the reasoning for the letter.
Okay. So the North Front Range MPO has been participating in a group called the Intermountain West MPOs, which are the MPOs in Colorado, Arizona, Utah, and Idaho. And we meet at least annually to talk about sort of our similar issues and what's going on in the Intermountain West region. And one of the issues that we flagged, probably 6, maybe 9 months ago, is the whole ozone issue that a lot of us are under. So I think you all know that we're in an ozone non-attainment area. And as they adjust the standards, even though we're doing work to make our air quality better, as they adjust the standards, we're still not meeting the criteria because the standard keeps getting lowered. What's going on? And if you have that letter in front of you, I think it's about the 4th page, is table 1. What you could see on that table is in a nutshell, what the issue is. And I know there's a lot of technical stuff in this letter because it is to EPA. But what that's saying is that if you look at the design value right now for our region is 70 parts per billion. And if you look on that far right column where it says non-locally controllable, that's what's coming into this region before anything happens in Colorado. So if we're at 70 parts per billion and Rocky Mountain National Park Monitor is showing 83, we're never going to be able to do anything that we can control to lower that standard because the background, as we're calling it, that non-locally controllable, is so high we can't bring that down on our own. So what this letter is asking EPA if they will meet with us to talk about how we can go about still improving our air quality, but to do it in a way that we can actually achieve some reductions. To keep sending us down on a further and further severe scale and having more sanctions against us, if you will, like right now that we're in severe, we're going to have to do reformulated gas in our region, which is a big expense, and it's going to raise the price of gas even. But we're asking them, okay, we know we need to do things, but even with all of that, we're not going to be able to meet the standard because of things that are coming in from outside of Colorado. So what we're asking them to do is to meet with us and talk about how we can actually achieve some achievable reductions on things that we can actually control. And so that's what the gist of this letter is about.
So, Suzette, wouldn't it be
Yes.
true that other states, in addition to us, suffered air quality issues from the Canadian fires this year, which was a great example? I know we had some really severe air quality days due to that. So are other states approaching the EPA, do you know?
I don't know about the Canadian wildfires mostly affected, more the Midwest and the East for this year, but, other years it's been us that have been feeling that. But I know that the Maricopa Association of Governments, which is the Phoenix MPO, which is, at least the size of Denver, if not larger, wrote a letter and requesting a meeting with EPA. Pikes Peak is writing a letter and requesting a meeting. So we're hoping we can, get some energy behind this and, sort of start pushing them to have some conversations with us.
Gotcha. Questions from the board?
I have a question. So Suzette, is this an ongoing problem? Because I feel like I remember this from years ago, but have the numbers changed at all, or are we making any progress anywhere?
Yeah, we're making progress. And I think, as I was saying at the beginning, is that they set a standard, and it's a health standard that is set by EPA. It started out at 80 parts per billion, then it went down to 75, now it's at 70. And every time they review that standard, it comes down. Mm-hmm. And so at some point, and we're at that point, quite frankly, that health standard, even though we've been making progress and our emissions levels are coming down, the part that we can actually control is so small anymore or non-existent that it's not making a difference.
I see.
Is this their way of forcing the issue on going everything electric and just forcing that down our throats? Is that what's happening here?
You know, and that's an interesting point, and I think this is one of the things that the state of Colorado is pushing back on, is that a lot of the EPA guidance comes out of the Clean Air Act, and the Clean Air Act says if you are at moderate or you're at severe or you're at serious, here are different things that you have to do to get yourself back into compliance, and those are required under the Clean Air Act. We're in serious right now, and that requires that we use reformulated gas. And Colorado is saying, why should we go to reformulated gas and go through all that expense if we're really pushing the transition to electric vehicles? So I would say even at the governor's level, there's not a desire to do some of this work on the reformulated fuels, especially when they're wanting to move in the direction of electric vehicles.
Is there any movement toward taxing the electric vehicles so that it makes up for the amount of revenue that is lost from the HUTF? Yeah, so that's a good comment. Senate Bill 260, I think it's 2021 260. They did start moving in some to more parity on the electric vehicle front. When it first started out, electric vehicles only paid like a $50 fee, and $20 of that went into the electric vehicle fund. So only $30 of that was going into the HUTF fund, or the Highway User Trust Fund. When you look at sort of a similar light-duty vehicle gas powered, they were paying about $150 a year into the HUTS fund for gas. So for the gas tax. So they are moving under Senate Bill 260 to start, incrementally increasing that. I don't know how they're ultimately planning to fix that, but they definitely do, and they are very much aware of it. Well, there apparently are incentives for buying electric vehicles, which, if my understanding is correct on that, come from the taxpayers. And so then we taxpayers get hit with a double whammy, because we have to try to maintain these roads that there isn't money to maintain. And people are driving these electric vehicles and they're not paying their fair share.
Yeah, they're not at this point. They are not paying their fair share.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Okay. So what we're looking at is putting a vote before the board to support this.
Well, do we need to put it on the agenda for a vote
Yes,
at the next meeting?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So I would direct that it goes on the next agenda and we can vote on it. Is there a timeline on this, Suzette, that you need this done by?
Yeah, it was going to come back in front of the MPO Council on October 5th. So I don't know what your timeline is, if that's possible.
Yes, we can get that done.
Yeah, September 27th, so.
September 27th is our next board meeting, so we'll have it done.
Okay, I think there are two things that we're asking is that would Milliken support the letter? And then there was also the suggestion from the council to have everybody sign it that was in support of the letter. So those are the two pieces.
Okay. We'll get that handled.
I really don't understand what we're supporting. So maybe I'm just not reading it, but I've read it, and
It's a meeting with the EPA because they keep lowering the standards to the point where we can't meet them. So we
haven't been able to meet them ever, hardly.
What part of it is they're wanting to meet with the EPA, as I understand it, so that they can get push on the regional contributors of the pollution as opposed to the local contribution to the pollution. Is that correct, Suzette?
Yeah, and it's to answer the question maybe more directly, what we're trying to achieve is to try to leverage our political clout to get a meeting with EPA. Maricopa Association of Governments initially wrote the first letter, and they sent them back like a 10-page thing on how to request a meeting with EPA. So we're hoping that if we can get enough political pressure that with enough local governments that are asking for this, that they will actually give us a meeting. That's really what we're shooting for.
So where is all this extra pollution coming from that we don't have control over?
Well, some of it comes from Mexico, some of it comes from California, and some of our states to the west of us. Some of it comes out of Asia. So it's coming from a lot of different places, but it's coming into Colorado, and it's not being generated in Colorado.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions, concerns, or comments? Okay. All right, so this will come back before the board, and we can think about it a little bit and ask any further questions.
Thank you, Suzette.
All right, thank you very much for attending tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for your patience on getting me in the meeting.
Thank you.
Have a good meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one more thing on the discussion agenda. We have a presentation from Civica tonight on the testing for students. Presenting is the principal, Sheena McCowett.
Hello, board. Nice to see you guys. I'm Sheena McCowett, principal of Civica. The address is 301 Centennial Drive in Milliken. I just always want to come to you guys and continue to give you an update. I'm very proud to be the school in this town. Over in that corner, you know where we are. And I put in the board tonight just our test scores. I think it's really important. Many of you watched us go through this process, and when we did that, we were making a promise. We were being a different option for parents, and we really told you guys that we were going to work hard to make sure that we had smart, workforce ready, good individuals. And so it's taken a long time, but I'm finally able to kind of pull our scores out and kind of look at where do we compare to the kids in the state, where do we compare to the kids in the district, and where do we compare to the local schools around us? Because we have the same demographics, so it's very powerful. So I think that's important for you guys to see. We're working really hard, we're keeping our promises, and we are getting some very smart kids over there. We are a career and collegiate academy. With that, I just wanted to update you. When they go to high school, they go on their academy path. If you come into the building, you'll see that the kids have red, white, and blue on, and it says either business or it says medical, and they start a path. So at the high school level, they choose their path. They take an introduction to business, an introduction to health. If they choose the academy path, they take their medical terminology, they're taking their anatomy and physiology, and then they're taking their medical ethics, and their industry certification by graduation will be the EKG certification. On the business path, they start with an introduction to business. Many of our students took social media marketing, and at 14 and 15, they passed the social media strategist certifications, and they're holding industry certifications at 14 and 15. So we're really excited that many of them passed that. And now they're doing Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Publisher, and then they will go on to do internships and go down that path. On top of that, we've introduced a couple cool electives for the kids. Astronomy, Project Lead the Way Medical Detectives is awesome. We are doing an automotive basics course. We are doing an agriculture course. So we're really integrating a lot of great classes, but you can see from our test scores, those come second to our ability to read, to write, and to know our history and our science. And so we just have a lot of great things going on over there. I just want to update you on a couple other things. We have 162 students. We are now 6th through 11th. So next year we will be 6th through 12th, which is great timing. Now that the middle school is leaving town, we can hold up to 350 students in that building. So we're at 162 right now. We have about 100 middle schoolers and 60 high schoolers. Once we start getting 50 students per class and that building's full at 350, don't forget we have the acreage on the other side and we can build the high school out. So we have a lot of options to bring to this town, and that's always really exciting to me. I just wanted you to know also, we cater in from a company in Denver, lunches and breakfast every single day. We feed about 80 of the students the catered food every day. When we were going through the process with the school board, charter schools often don't have food service or transportation. Full tummies are important to all of us, and they're important to us, so I'm really glad that I'm able to offer that to the students. We have a great cross-country team going. It's really fun to see. We only have a team of about 14, but every time we compete against 300, 400 kids, we have a couple of them who are in like the top 20. So we can run and we're smart, so if that's gonna get you somewhere. We have a total of 13 teachers. It's like a party trick. 13 of us take 162 of them every day, and we do a great job over there, and a total staff of 19. Another thing that's really cool for this town, we just spent down about $800,000 in a grant. It was a 3-year grant. We brought $800,000 in. That's where we get all these programming. These are very expensive programs, and we just got approved for an additional $200,000 in grants for the students there because we did so well with our first grant. There's a million things I can tell you about, but we put about $20,000 into a library there. We did some of that security screening, so you can't see in, but you can see the Civic on the outside if you guys ever get to see that. And the students love, we have the umbrellas outside with all the tables, and we turn the music on, and we have a good time every day at lunch. So some wonderful things are going on at Civica. We're very proud to be representing this town. We have many kids that are starting to come from Platteville, Gilcrest, Milliken, Johnstown. They drive from Windsor and kind of a pretty nice radius, and they come to Milliken to get the education that we offer. So we just promised we would make you proud. We made a lot of promises, and we want you to know we're over there working hard to keep them. Okay. Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much. Board questions?
I'm just curious about the lunches. They're being brought up from Denver?
Yeah, we bring them up from Denver. They deliver to a few schools around here. They make them fresh every single day. They package them up and they deliver them, and then the kids have access to breakfast and lunch every single day. Yeah.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, we're making it work. We're definitely finding where our resources are. So last year we actually did a fundraiser. We don't have access to the district buses, but we did a fundraiser and we got 3 buses, chartered them for $3,000 and brought the kids to the zoo. So now if I ever pull up in a yellow bus, they're gonna look at me cross-eyed. So I think I shouldn't have done that, but we sure had a fun time. So we have to be creative. We really are funded off of fundraising when it comes to that stuff. But those kids can sell butter braids, I'll tell you that. Put a student in a uniform and bring them to the door, anyone will buy a butter braid. Any other questions?
I just think you're doing a wonderful job for us, and I'm very excited.
Thank you. You guys are welcome.
You're teaching cursive.
Oh, we are doing handwriting. And yes, we're doing some of those things we do. Dave Ramsey financial literacy is another thing we do. We do some amazing things over there. And people keep asking me, how am I getting these results? And I always say it's really not rocket science. Put kids in uniform, make them dress to impress. They come every single day to like be at the top. Take those darn phones away. Those phones sit in the classroom all day. No one ever touches phones on my campus. And we don't have bullying. We don't have fights or vaping or drugs or any of that. We're really busy getting ready to be the future leaders. That's what Civic is. We're preparing them to be leaders in their home, in the community, and in the workforce. So it really isn't rocket science. It's very powerful when we all look like we do. You can tell we're there to do business. If you ever want to come in the morning, you'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, you guys. Thank you for having me. Yes, thank you.
Thank you for the update.
Yes.
I'm very impressed with the scores.
Thank you. Yes, that is impressive. It is a lot of work to get those scores. I've been in education for 23 years and I haven't seen that, so we'll try to top it next year.
Okay. Alrighty, that concludes the discussion agenda. We'll move on to the meeting minutes. Is there any discussion or comments on the minutes of August 23rd, 2023? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve the minutes from August 2023 as read or as presented.
I second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Lane.
Yes.
Trustee Meisner.
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman.
Yes.
Trustee Beckman. We got a thumbs up. Trustee Dean.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Now we'll have the town administrator's report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. It was mentioned during the work session, but I had this in my report, that Chief Garcia, Carrie, and I attended and spoke at the Historical Society's 10-year remembrance of the 2013 flood. I thought it was very well attended, and as I mentioned, the slideshow created by Chad Young was an incredible attribute to this remembrance. So it would be kind of cool if anybody who wasn't in Milliken in 2013 and didn't get to see what the full picture was, if we somehow could get a copy of that slideshow to be able to, let people see. So
Could it be put on our,
I was just thinking on our
webpage?
website,
Yes,
possibly.
that'd be great.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Last week, I met with Troy Rinkin, who's with the town of Platteville. He's their manager, to talk to him about a boundary agreement. There was one created in 2011, I believe it was. But in reading the document, a lot of the items that were in the document were never done. After speaking to him, we would both like to just remove that agreement and replace it with an updated version that could be obtained by both communities. They just finished their 2023 comprehensive plan update, and their boundaries within it did not change. So it still meets what we have in our agreement with them. So I'll be moving that on once it's been vetted by our attorney and community development director. Really important also is the Weld County Oil and Gas Energy Department is hearing for the PDC energy haul route had been continued until Tuesday, October 12th at 9:30. And the hearing for Loveland Ready Mix haul route has been continued until January 10th, 9 a.m., and that is in front of the county commissioners. So again, I think it would be really important for board members, if they can, to attend both of those hearings.
Could you give the dates again, Cheryl, please?
Sure. So the date for the haul route for PDC Energy in front of the Oil and Gas Energy Department is on October 12th at 9:30. And then the hearing for Loveland Ready Mix haul route is January 10th at 9 a.m.
What was that date again?
The date, January 10th. And I can ask Carrie to send everybody the address of where these hearings will be taking place and the dates and time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Also, staff will be presenting our grant application for Weld County Road 23 3/4 to the Department of Local Affairs Committee at the end of October in Avon. So fingers crossed that we're successful with this grant as well. Staff met with the Hillsborough Ditch Board and Johnstown to discuss a change case for municipal use on the Hillsborough on Wednesday, September 6th. We will be presenting to the Ditch Board at their annual Hillsborough meeting in December. Also, I had mentioned earlier in the summer that I would present to the board the costs that we were incurred due to the flooding that happened during those flooding events, the heavy rains. So to date, and this isn't, I don't know if it's everything, but to date it's $65,811.66. So. Park staff did an amazing job at Florence Park around the playground area. They cleaned out a lot of messy bushes that just didn't look very nice anymore. And they cleaned out the flower beds. They put down fresh mulch and installed a trash can where one was greatly needed. So if you ever get over there and look at it, it looks much better. So thanks. And they also installed 2 new concrete pads for trash cans around Ehrlich Lake. So there's more cans available there for people that throw away water bottles or whatever while they're walking. The town did file a joint application with Johnstown through North Front Range MPO organization for a signal light on Highway 60 and Weld County Road 19. This is a project I discussed with the board earlier, so we'll see how that plays out. I also wanted to address, there's been comments on the town's Facebook page regarding County Road 46, Inez Boulevard, regarding the paving of the road between County Road 21 or Quintine and County Road 19. Back in 2022, Streets Director John Rabus provided me with a cost estimate to do this project, paving the road, curb and gutter. And at that time, the cost was short of $2.5 million. So this is why at this time it would be difficult to pave that road. I think when future development comes in, that will provide the paving and enhancements of that road. We're doing the best we can to keep it rut-free and putting down dust control and such. Weld County Public Works has also worked on it for us. So unfortunately, it's a high price that we don't have at this time to do that road. So I just wanted to announce that. That's all I have.
All right, questions from the board? Okay. If there are no questions, thank you for the report.
You're welcome.
All right, we have nothing on the consent agenda. Moving on to the action agenda. We have, the first item is a public hearing for the consideration of adoption for Resolution 23-15, updated fees. Presenting is Wade Nickerson, Finance Director. And since it is a public hearing, the time is 7:10. We are opening the public hearing.
Good evening. I'll just quickly summarize the details of the changes to the fine and fee schedule. The only changes to this involve the temporary, and that's in parentheses, construction fire line meter lines. So these are commonly referred to as hydrant meters. We needed to update some of our fees in an attempt to recover costs as well as control the outflow of our scarce resource of water here in town. Our current rate of water is $12 per 1,000 gallons from these. That's very standard across our neighboring cities, everywhere from about 10 to 15 gallons, $10 to $15 per 1,000 gallons on this usage. We're at 12. But what we have added, you can see in the rate schedule, is we've added an additional tier where if they go over 325,000 gallons of usage in a 90-day period, that price doubles. That way we recover the costs associated with potentially leasing additional water. And that's the complete change to the fine and fee schedule at this time. And I can answer questions if you have some.
Okay. Questions from the board. Trustee Wakeman.
I don't have any questions.
Trustee Lane?
I have no questions.
Trustee Meisner?
No, I have no questions.
Trustee Dean?
Just clarification, you said the excess usage fee, what was the period of time on that?
90 days.
90?
Yeah, so this is we're cleaning up our contract a little bit in order to limit the amount of time. This was intended to help contractors, people building stuff, developers, that type of stuff, get them the water that they needed for dust suppression and that type of stuff when they're actually doing a project. And so we want to limit the time involved. And so that'll be a 90-day contract, and they can use that up to that amount of water.
So they'll have 90 days to use that 325,000 gallons.
Yeah, if they use
Okay.
more than that, then they'll have to pay the higher fees.
I'm used to a month.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Trustee Beckman, any questions? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
I have none.
I have no questions. Any questions from the public? Okay. Hearing none, thank you for your presentation. The time is 7:13, and I'm going to close the public hearing. If there's no further discussion, I'll take a motion on the matter.
I move to adopt resolution number 23-15, adopting the fee schedule with changes to section 13 effective October 1, 2023.
I second.
Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Trustee Beckman? That was a thumbs up. Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Lane?
Yes.
Trustee Miesner?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item B is authorization for additional design services by Tate and Associates for the Cherry Street project. Presenting is Cheryl Howell, Town Administrator.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. John Rabus is on vacation this week, so myself and Brian Campbell with Tate are handling these items for him. So this is an authorization for Tate Engineering to be able to design a water main replacement for Cherry Street. As we have Cherry Street opened up, it's a good idea to install items that probably should be as we have the whole road torn up. The current water main is an AC line, which is asbestos, that's probably very old and getting, probably fragile at this time. So while we have the road opened up, we figured we would do this at the same time. The current line, I believe, is located in people's front yards, which would make it very difficult to replace then. So we want to place it in the street where it belongs, so it's easier access without tearing up people's lines. So we would abandon that line in place and install a new line.
Okay, questions for the Town Administrator, starting with Trustee Beckman. Trustee Dean?
This is for the design of $20,000, is that correct?
Correct.
And is this what I see? The project cost is $390,000,
Correct.
and that will come before us at some point?
It's coming before you now.
It's next item.
Next time.
Yeah. At the next one.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Since we are beginning that project, we would like to continue it without holding it up.
Sure.
If possible.
Yeah, I was mixing them up. So.
Sorry.
No.
All right.
But I have to say, you have to go out and look. They've got all these box culverts out there. It's pretty amazing. Lined up on, is it the old Martin property area or right off of that? And so they're ready to go. They've begun some work, I know, this week.
All right, questions, Trustee Miesner?
I have no questions.
Trustee Lane?
I have no questions.
Trustee Wakeman?
It's a little disappointing to me that we get into the project before we realize this problem. Do we know? That's not aimed at any current staff, because obviously it's an old line, but like, how did we discover it? What?
I think it's a lesson learned, and I'll absorb that one. I think anytime we do a project such as this, while we have the road opened, it only makes sense to also replace the utilities, because you don't want to have to go back a year from now and tear up a brand new road that you just put in and have that expense all over. So especially in these older areas, I think that's very important.
So is there any hazard to
our citizens in using this water line, or is it just because we're there to do it?
I think there's a potential that it could become damaged during this project, and so we would be replacing it anyway. So I think it would be wise to just replace it and place it in the road and out of people's front yards so that we have easier access to it if and when somewhere down the line it does have a break. And at the same time, being able to put in valve boxes so we can shut the water down, so we're not having to shut down a big area of the town, because these older roads do not have that ability to shut down just a block at a time. So, as I said, it's a learning curve for me. And I think going forward, we'll do what we can in these roads and what's under the roads as we have the roads open.
Well, again, I just want to say it's not a criticism, it's just more information than that. And,
No, but yeah, I'm
for the board, so thank you very much for moving forward with it, for taking care of it, and
Sure.
advising us.
Yeah, this did happen to us on the Josephine project, where we got into the project and then we had a water line break. So we know that this can happen. And I think this board has always been, if you've got the road open, do it at that time and don't use extra tax dollars. So I have no questions at this time. There's no further discussion. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over you. My apologies. Okay. All righty, I'll take a motion on the matter.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign an additional services agreement with Tate and Associates, Inc. for the design of the Cherry Street water main replacement for $20,000.
I second it.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Beckman? That was a thumbs up. Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Lane?
Yes.
Trustee Meisner?
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is authorization for change order number 1 with the Coyote Ridge construction on the Cherry Street project. Brian Campbell, town engineer.
Thank you. A lot of the discussion already just took place, but maybe I can shed a little bit more light on the importance of replacing these asbestos cement lines. Really, they're very brittle lines, and so what we find is typically when there's construction around these lines, a lot of times they'll spring a leak at that time. The other pieces are very hard to maintain, and so typically you have to go in and cut out sections of pipe and put in sleeves, which makes it challenging because now you have this asbestos pipe that you have to dispose of. And so the repairs can be very costly, as well as take more time than typical PVC pipes. And Don and I have been working pretty closely as far as understanding the system in general in this area. And what we found, and based on some of the research and potholes that we've done just this week with Coyote Ridge, is that some of the pipes have been replaced and some of the pipes have not. Unfortunately, this stretch of pipe down Cherry Street has not been replaced, but fortunately, a lot of the other pipes in the area have been replaced, one of which was with the Josephine storm sewer project. And so our hope is to bring, really more reliable service to this area and better operational control of this area as well. And so and then looking forward to, we've also talked about, how do we approach projects? We have a couple other street projects that we're looking at, one of which is Weld County Road 23 3/4. And so it's really evaluating the whole section as a whole when we're looking at doing our capital improvements, and not just, say, a street replacement, because right now is going to be likely the least expensive that we'll be able to have this water main replaced versus going in at a later date. So just a little more information for you there.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Trustee Dean?
I see you're abandoning the line in place,
Yes.
and there's a cost with that of about $8,000. Is that, can you give me a little explanation for that?
So in order to install the new line, we need to keep the current line under pressure and in service. And so there's 3 locations that they're looking at essentially cutting and capping the existing pipe and isolating areas so we can lay the new pipe as close as possible to this pipe, and then they'll go in and then cap off those pipes. And so that's what that $8,000 is for.
So if you are replacing it with a PVC in close proximity, are we going to have issues with that asbestos pipe in the future if there are issues?
Our plan is to leave it in place underground so we don't have to remove it.
But if you have a problem with if we have a break or a leak in the new
Oh, I
line,
see, yeah. We're planning on laying the line about 7 feet off of this existing line is what we're looking at. And so we shouldn't have any issues with running into that asbestos line in the event that there was a break or some maintenance that needs to be done on this line.
Is this in a right-of-way then?
It is in a right-of-way, yeah.
And is it going to be clearly identified for future people using that right-of-way?
Yes, and that's something that these old lines don't have is locating capabilities. And so we run locator wires with all of the new infrastructure that goes in now.
I'm more concerned about the old pipe.
Well, the old pipe, if we don't touch it, it should be okay.
But if someone else uses the right-of-way, they may run into it.
Correct.
And that's,
so the good thing is we know where it is now, and we've identified it. And so we're gonna get that pipe put into our GIS system and our mapping system, so we have record of it now.
that's my concern,
Yes.
is making sure we have a good record so we can tell people, don't dig there.
Exactly, right, yeah. And so that is the intent.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Trustee Beckman, any questions? Trustee Meisner?
No.
Trustee Lane?
I'm just curious. What percentage of our town still uses the old pipe?
I don't know the answer to that. Maybe Don? Do you have an idea?
I would guess 25%.
25%?
Okay, so it's just pretty much all Old Town?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Well, and other than the one down 21.
There is, yeah, that well central connection over to the water tank is an asbestos line as well that we have planned for replacement.
Okay. Thank you.
Trustee Wakeman?
I'm just curious, how deep the water line is then?
The asbestos line, what did they find?
They're using 5 to 6 feet now.
It's about 5 or 6 feet, and we lay the new proposed line between 5 and 7 feet deep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. There's no further questions? Or Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
No, I don't.
Okay, that's twice. Okay. Sorry. Going to Mexico, what can I say? If there's no further discussion, I'll take a motion on the matter.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign a construction change order with Coyote Ridge Construction LLC for the construction of a new 8-inch water main along Cherry Street from Grace Avenue to Josephine Avenue for $389,134.07.
I'll second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Lane?
Yes.
Trustee Meisner?
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Trustee Beckman? Thumbs up. Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Do we have any board member reports?
I just have a couple of comments, if I may.
Okay.
I know that our administrator Cheryl Powell made a statement about this at the last meeting, but since I attended by Zoom, I didn't say anything, but I just would like to say to the events committee and the staff, everyone that was involved in Beef and Bean Day, what a tremendous undertaking it is for everyone to put that event on for our town, and I just really appreciate the effort that is made there. I also wanted to say how nice the flower boxes look along Main Street. I can't believe that sweet potato vine is taking over. It's huge and it's beautiful. And I just appreciate it. My other comment was on the flood presentation on Sunday, but we've covered that, I think. So thanks to everyone for all the effort.
Well, next year will be our 100 year. Just saying.
100 year for what?
Beef and Bean Day, 100 year anniversary. I'll be looking for nominees for honorees. All righty, thank you for your comments. If there's no further business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're out. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again at the end of the month.